game after a relatively disappointing performance against Philadelphia. What has to change tonight for you to be successful against Toronto?
Well, I think one of the key components that we talked about at practice and after the game last week was the compete level. One of the things that we'd like to pride ourselves on is we don't want to get outworked by a team, and as a coaching staff, we felt we got outworked by a Philadelphia team that just basically tried harder and wanted it more than we did last week. So that was our focus.
What's the lineup look like tonight? You got to make any changes from last game?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I know we got to get Wilson and Culper in there. Wilson's a finisher that we like on our right side on offense, and everybody knows Culper's just a super energy guy that can play at in any facet of the game at any end of the floor. So they're healthy now, so I think we're looking to get them in, and we'll see when we meet with Troy when he gets down here what kind of direction he wants to take for lineup as far as D&O guys.
I know Curtis is a new daddy and didn't make it today. Is he going to make the game tonight?
Yeah, he'll be back. I think it was we're gonna be away from home for 4 days, so Cooch just wanted to hang out with the wife and make sure everything was good with the little one there before he took off for 4 days, and he's going to come down later this afternoon, so he'll make it for game time.
Still rolling with Cosmo and net?
Yes. Cos is our starter, and I think that we have to believe in him as a staff, and once he gets rolling, I think that a lot of people are going to see how good he really is and what kind of a goaltender he is. He's a stand-up guy that just wants to win, and he'll do anything to do that. So we're going to be better in front of him tonight.
Sounds like Troy's not the type of guy that circles games on calendars. Some guys in this situation might be saying, "Oh, Toronto just fired me, and this is my first chance to get back at them." But from what I've heard from everybody, really, that hasn't been much an issue at all.
No, I think one of the things that Troy likes to do is focus on his own team and make sure that he's getting everything out of his players that he can get before he really worries about the other team. I mean, we've looked at film and we've watched game like every other team does, and he's looking at it as a game film that we're watching to prepare for Toronto. I think they had a history together and they had a winning history, so I don't know if there's anything you can really be upset about that. But he's the Buffalo Bandits head coach now, and I think he believes and feels that what we've got here in Buffalo is what he wants to work with, and we're all behind him.
I know you're not looking to Philadelphia on Sunday, but going into this weekend, you could be 2-1, or you could be, in a position where you're 0-3. How important is this weekend?
Well, it's huge on so many levels. I mean, first off, it's 2 games against Eastern opponents, which you want to win your division games if you can, and win as many of them as you can. We're not looking past Toronto. We've got our own things that we want to work on and get the wrinkles ironed out, so to speak. So I think that our focus is on Toronto, and once this game's over, then we can start focusing on Philly. But yeah, we want to come out of this weekend as best we can, and 2-1 would be great after this weekend. But we got to take Toronto first and realize that they're a real good team, and they've been to the championship game 2 of the last 3 years. So you don't want to look past a team like that. 2
games in 36 hours with a short bench for the first time, down to 16-2. Is that a concern for the team, for the coaching staff? You're going to have to be a little careful on people, or at all?
I think you got to be careful in the sense that if somebody's tweaked something or has a minor injury, then you don't want to turn that into a major injury. But it's no excuse for anybody, because quite frankly, Philly's playing on Saturday night, so their turnaround is just the same as ours. Actually, it's less. Yeah. So I think the way the game's gone and the physical shape that these guys are in now, you can't look back at that and say, what, we didn't have enough gas, or we weren't in good enough shape to compete on the 2-night level. Every team's got to do it, and every team's going to do it a couple of times a year. So I don't think we can look at that as an excuse, except that you've got 2 really good guys going in if you need fresh legs in there.
Any stock placed into Merrill and Greer being out for Toronto on defense tonight?
Well, I know it somewhat goes back to the fact that everybody's so good, and the teams are shrunk down now that teams actually lost a lot of good players this year, and the guys that are coming in and replacing those older guys are guys that are good and guys that are hungry. So that's a big loss on their part. I think those are 2 great defenders, and Patrick's one of those real gritty guys, will do anything for the team, and he's a hard-nosed guy. So they're going to miss that, and Guerzy's a leader also. But you throw the two guys that are going in there, and you can't just assume that Guerzy and Patty are out, so we're going to have a field day on offense because there's young guys in there. We still take that as we've got to follow our game plan, and they're going to be real good defensively no matter who's at their back door.
Dane Smith had an impressive first game. Has there been any thought about possibly giving him more offensive opportunities?
I think we want him. I think people are looking at it as we're taking away offensive opportunities for him. It's amazing what Dane can do coming out of the back end. Everybody saw Mark do it on a 51-goal year and realized that he was coming out of the back door that year. We want Dane to create opportunities from that position. Most nights he's the fastest guy on the floor. And if he wants to stay and play, there's going to be times that we do have him at the front door. It's to create offense, it's to give him some opportunities. But we want him to play as much as he can. So if he brings the ball up from the back end and plays offense, we're fine with that. He's not a guy that we want coming off the floor when he picks it up.
Thanks, Tim.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.